Hello again, and welcome to Fired Up. I'm your host for the show, Bob Irwin. We are broadcasting live from the studios here in Las Vegas, Nevada, Rigel Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada, as it were. Uh, the, where are we going here? Well, my cheat sheet isn't happening. There it is. This show is about guns, related politics, and self-defense issue. I didn't actually know that. Fired Up is on our website, firedupwithboberwin.com. And it is broadcast also on other media. A show will be posted every Thursday around 5 p.m. Pacific time. New shows also appear on YouTube and numerous other media. The audio feed is rebroadcast for radio listeners Saturdays at noon on the Nevada Talk Network. You can check out KELY1230.com for a station in your area. It's broadcast all over Nevada, about 18 stations. If you have questions or comments, you can send an email to bob@firedupmail.com or leave a message on my office recorder, which is 702-257-1060. That information is appearing on the bottom of the screen. As I'm saying that, if you didn't write that fast. If you leave contact information, we will respond by email, text, or telephone. Questions directed to my guests will be forwarded to them. There are several hundred defensive uses of firearms every week in the United States, rarely covered by any mainstream media. So we always present a few of those for our listeners' education. The issue is if you can take the stories that we use and put yourself in the position of the individuals involved and see what else you could have done or would have done under the laws where you happen to be. Most of these are good shootings. Some are questionable. Sometimes they're just wrongful, but they're educational for anybody who owns a firearm or carries one for self-defense. As I said, individual incidents are always adjudicated under local law, so advice given on this program may not apply in other jurisdictions. The incidents are as reported in the media, except as Fired Up policy, we delete the names of those involved in case they're innocent, or sometimes it's just not a good idea to publish them. Mike Bunker is my guest today, retired police detective sergeant. And if you would give the listeners, a little bit of your background, sir, I'd appreciate it.
I was a police officer for 40 years with a major police department. I've served most types of law enforcement on the street, and from a detective standpoint, from the start to often the end, sometimes merely taking reports until the appropriate detail got there, or more often than not, from start to finish. I've been assigned to narcotics, general assignment night shift detective, where we handled basically everything that came across the board, and organized crime.
The fun part.
Yes.
There's rumors there was organized crime in Southern Nevada, but I'm not sure that's historically correct.
Well, the Mob Museum has done a great deal in the city of Las Vegas to show some of the organized crime that was prevalent in the United States.
We had quite a time back in '71 when I first moved here. It was amazing. It's a little less amazing now. This first story comes from the Herald.net. It was reported Friday, March 8th in Everett, Washington. Two men met in Everett for the sale of an iPhone. You know where this is going, right? The buyer apparently didn't really intend to pay for that iPhone. The fake buyer reportedly used a fake gun to rob his victim during the transaction. The intended target, however, had a real gun and shot the guy, according to the police. Everett Police Lieutenant Ryan Dahlberg said the two parties met in South Everett park and South Everett Park and Ride. That's I guess, a bus stop kind of thing. Initial reports indicate that the two men had arranged to meet so one could sell the other an iPhone. During the interaction, the intended buyer allegedly pulled a fake gun and attempted to rob the seller. The seller responded by pulling a real gun and shooting the other man several times. Lieutenant Dahlberg added that the shooter left the scene but has since contacted Everett police. Investigators are still collecting and reviewing evidence, including surveillance video from nearby businesses and so forth. The fake buyer, as of last report, was in critical condition in the hospital. No additional information was made public at the time, that it hasn't been posted as yet for an update on this. Decisions have not been made on potential arrests or charges in this case. Pretty clearly, by all common sense, a good shooting. Leaving the scene was a bad idea, but quickly contacting the police makes that actually okay. There could have been additional robbers in the area, so running away was not necessarily a bad decision, as long as he contacted the police right away to tell them what's going on and tell them who he was. So that all came out pretty well. Mike, we've done these. I'm not sure when you were on or not, but I've done a half a dozen of these. Meet me in the parking lot of the park or something to sell your jewelry, cell phone, or what have you. And it went south.
There has been a number of crimes that have taken place with people that sell things at that they want to purchase from Craigslist or from other places. Meeting in a public spot is always a good idea. Having a friend with you might be an helpful advice, but sometimes that's not possible. But how many times do people sell things and it goes well? If you've ever been to Everett, Washington, it's a beautiful city. It's on the west coast of Washington, not far from the ocean. I've eaten at restaurants there, and it's just a really nice place, and you would not expect that to happen there. But that's where crime happens. Unexpected places. I think the guy was pretty smart to leave the scene without knowing whether or not there were other people in the area. But you could drive 2 blocks away, drop a dime. Keep in mind also, the guy could be sued for not providing aid to the guy that he just shot, which seems kind of ludicrous, but you could be sued for anything.
Especially in Washington State, where we have a more liberal bent to things than we're used to in Southern Nevada. It's interesting case, and there can be any number of scenarios. We've basically done this story so many times I can't begin to count them. The suggestions are you meet in the parking lot of the police station when the police station's open. A lot of jurisdictions now provide that and provide designated parking spaces with cameras on them. So, and if you're buying something you want to check to see if it's stolen, then you can run right in the police station before you pay the guy and say, run this gun or run this stereo and see if it's on the hot sheet.
Well, that's potentially possible, but I would have to think that most police departments are not going to run material for you, be it guns or be it TVs, radios, or whatever. It's simply they would become overwhelmed by doing this because everybody would want to do it to be safe, and I think it's a good idea, but how do you provide that service with a limited number of people? It's extremely difficult.
That's a problem, but it does open up one thing that if the guy says, no, I don't want to meet you near a police station, then you say, then I don't want to buy your phone. I mean, that's just that simple. it may spook the real people that are selling stolen merchandise because they don't want to be near a police station.
I would agree.
It's
Particularly in Las Vegas, we have substations all over the valley that are reasonably easy to get to, and stay away from nighttime sales. You know, I mean, meeting somebody at, I'll meet you at 1:30 in the morning and we can do our sale. No. Meet in the daylight, preferably in mid-afternoon.
But it's the only time I'm not working. I have to meet you at 3 in the morning on the dark street because that's the only time I'm available, to which then you reply, no sale.
That's right. No sale. I don't want to do it. I don't feel comfortable with it. Thank you very much.
This next story is just an interesting bad guy story. MLive.com, it's a Michigan radio network, reported in Carroll, Michigan in March of 2019, a suspect entered a Frankenmuth Road home where he tried to steal a car, but he was confronted by the homeowner who had a gun. The suspect then, when the gun was pointed at him, he ran and jumped in a waiting vehicle driven by a female, apparently an accomplice. There's not a lot of detail there. Police say they spotted the perp in a vehicle around 3:40 in the afternoon on Tuesday, March 5th, near Brown City. I'm trying to worry about pronouncing Sinilac correctly here. Anyway, the suspect fled in a vehicle. We believe it was a female accomplice. It was a female. Police said they spotted the perp in a vehicle around 3:40 in the afternoon on Tuesday, March 5th, near Brown City in Sinilac County. Sheriff's deputies came out to assist the Brown City police to apprehend the suspect. The Sinilac County deputies pursued him into Leper County, then into Tuscola County. The male suspect eventually rammed a patrol vehicle and drove out into a field where he got stuck. It's not over yet. The perp then pulled a knife and held it at his own throat inside the vehicle. Deputies were able to remove the female driver and him from the vehicle. Is it over yet? No. When they attempted to get the 31-year-old male to put the knife down, he began to swing it at them. Attempts to use a taser on him were ineffective for whatever reason, according to the Sinilac County Sheriff's Office. He then fled on foot, and Tuscola County Sheriff's deputies were eventually able to arrest him. Actually, it was a day or two later, I believe, and transported him to the Tuscola County Jail. It seemed like a routine burglary and car theft, but it turned out to be a great deal more. You never know who's trying to rip you off. In this case, the 31-year-old man, he's from Pinconning, had been arraigned on 20 counts related to the chase that led to police through 3 counties. He's charged in Tuscola County District Court with assault with intent to murder, first-degree home invasion, assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than murder by strangulation, that's a local statute, breaking and entering into a building, carrying a dangerous weapon with unlawful intent, carrying concealed weapon, malicious destruction of police property, assault with a dangerous weapon, larceny in a building, operating a vehicle while license is suspended, operating a vehicle while intoxicated, attempted motor vehicle theft, assaulting, resisting, or obstructing a police officer, 3 counts of that. Felony firearm possession, 3 counts, because he couldn't legally have a firearm. Third-degree fleeing and eluding a police officer, 2 counts. The Michigan Department of Corrections say the subject absconded from probation on January 22nd, 2017. He had been placed on 2 years of probation in June 2016 on conviction of a third-degree home invasion. Bail is set now at $800,000 cash. Imagine for a moment if this homeowner had not been armed. The it's unimaginable what could have happened. The point of me doing this story is, from the homeowner's point of view, you have a guy who just came in and now he's trying to steal your car, and apparently there's an accomplice outside in a getaway vehicle. He pointed his gun and the guy ran. But this was an incredibly hardened criminal, murderer. I mean, you name it. He's been charged with everything in the book. He was already on parole and probation, this and that. Has committed crime after crime after crime over several years. Obviously, if this homeowner had not had the good sense to point his gun and then the guy decided to turn tail, there may have been other people in the house, we don't know from the news story, but you never know who you're facing. You presume it's a minor crime, but this guy is going to react violently and has this type of violent history. Always have a gun. Sergeant Bunker.
Well, they charged him with everything except grand mopery with intent to creep. And of course, all of these charges will be broken down to probably 2. Everything else will be dismissed just simply because they can't try him on all of this stuff. And even if they did, he would, he would serve the sentence, whatever it was, for every conviction all at the same time. One thing you forgot to say was when the guy was first extracted from the car, he held himself hostage.
Yeah.
He held the knife to his throat and tells the police officers, back up or I'll cut my throat. I wonder what the attitude of the police were at that time. You know, should we back up or should we walk towards him? Kind of humorous, but I've seen people do it. Back up or I'll stab myself. Wow, that's kind of strange. People do.
You're not allowed to say, okay.
Go ahead. I've got bandages in the car. No, it's just not a win situation for the police when they tried everything that they could to take the guy into custody. You then wonder did the guy have suicidal tendencies and he wanted the police to kill him. He's obviously a very inept criminal.
Oh, yes. Anyway, we're almost out of time here already. If I'm reading this correctly, we're at 125. We got to go to 137. So, we have kind of the same thing here. First, I want to break for just a second for a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back in just a moment. Our new Fired Up logo merchandise is available online at firedupwithboberwinstore.com. We have our orange camo pattern shirts, as you can see here. We have orange camo pattern hats, baseball type hats. We have our famous Aussie button up on the side hats, all of which are available. The men's tees now come in small, medium, large, extra large, 2XL, and 3XL just in. We have the hats are available. The Aussie hats are in size small, medium, large, and extra large. That is 7, 7 1/4, 7 1/2, 7 3/4 to us Americans. We also have our Pink Ladies tank tops in small, medium, large, extra large, and 2XL. And of course, my book, The Reality of Armed Self-Defense. We accept credit and debit cards, PayPal, and just about every other payment method known to man on that site. It's being handled by a contractor who does all that for us. So I am inviting you to look onto our website, add the word store, and you will find all this stuff for sale, which will help support Fired Up. Thank you. we are back. While we're there, I just picked up the new hat artwork that is, there we are on camera, embroidered now on the hats. These are much nicer looking. They're on our website, firedupwithboberwinstore.com. Check it out. These are really cool. These are quality stuff. We're going to, I had to address, I believe you were there. I'm not sure who I was out with at the time, but we chased a guy off a Boulder Highway once, and a Irish young cop named Tommy something, I'll leave out of the story, had responded, and he's chasing the guy through the sagebrush, and the helicopter lit him up, and he's holding a gun in his head, and Tommy yells, "Drop the gun or I'll shoot."
Yeah, what do you do?
Well, that's like,
Have you ever tried to get
Okay.
a gun from your head? If it's pointed like this and you're pointing it at yourself, and the cop is in front of you, how do you get it to the ground without the police officer assuming you're pointing in at him? You're going like this to put it down. Oh, you're going to get shot. It's difficult to do.
it's just when somebody's threatening to kill themselves, you threaten to kill them to prevent them from killing themselves. Anyway, this is from KYW 1260 Radio News. It's on 315 just recently in West Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Police say a man is dead after being shot by the owner of a store he was trying to rob in West Philadelphia on Thursday night. The Philadelphia police say a man in his 20s went to the store at 54th and Weisling Avenue wearing a ski mask and armed with a gun. The store owner was also armed with a gun, and he shot the masked man one time in the stomach. He shot first. The would-be robber left the store. He was found by police in a car nearby. He was taken to Presbyterian Hospital for treatment and later died from the gunshot wound. The owner of the store was not hurt. Police say they did take 2 guns from the scene, one of which belonged to the attempted robber. This is just driving police crazy all over the country. We have case after case here in Las Vegas. Convenience stores, head shops, delis, anything open late at night are at a constant threat of armed robbers. Most of the big city chains will not allow their employees to be armed, but the independent store owners tend to see things differently. The independents are carrying guns more often, and I can't blame them. I don't know, what the solution is to this. A guy's willing to die over stealing a cell phone or a ham sandwich.
It's certainly scary if the individual comes in and steals everything, okay, it's only a loss of property. The difficult decision is he going to hurt me also to get rid of a witness? Because there's been a number of robberies where the victim was shot, stabbed, killed, struck with a blunt instrument during the robbery when they appeared to be complying with the robber. So you have a level of fear here that you don't know what this armed robber is going to do. So having other choices open to you is better than not.
I just, the owners of these places, this is going on over and over again, and this is just something that, eventually these guys are all going to get shot and then they'll quit doing robberies. But there's a whole nother generation behind them, and they're getting younger and younger. I mean, you will recall the case I've talked about several times where a smoke shop owner here shot a juvenile who apparently was trying to rob him, but it turned out he was only trying to do a burglary, simulating weapons or drawing a weapon, and everybody's life is destroyed, besides the guy that gets shot. the owners of these places. Just shootings never go away. Friends of the NRA, this is for Las Vegas listeners in general. Friends of the NRA is having a huge fundraiser dinner and auction at the Palace Station in Las Vegas here on April 6th. Coming up, tickets start at $75. There is, the NRA collects all these donated guns for fundraisers from various manufacturers, and there's a ton of stuff being given away that is really hard to find. They have packages where you can buy tables and you get extra drawing tickets for this, that, and so forth. It's a great thing. We need people defending our gun rights now. It is really tough. We're going to be talking in the next couple of weeks about some bills that are going into the legislature this week when we see how we end up being Californiized with our new left side legislature here. Anyway, you can contact the Friends of the NRA. They can be reached at 702-308-8038 or CCS Gunsmithing. The owner there is frequently on the show here, Chris Eifelt. They're at 2216 South Rainbow in Las Vegas, or you can call them direct at 702-365-1732. This is a chance to get a lot of guns that are really hard to find for a very good price, and the price of a drawing ticket or two could win you some really valuable stuff. So, you can check out all our recent shows at firedupwithboberwin.com. It contains recent shows with older ones being added as we can. The commercials keep us on the air, so please patronize our sponsors, particularly the Fired Up store website. Capitalism wins every time, folks. We'll be back next Thursday on our website and on YouTube at the Great American Guns and Glory Network. When watching any media, please hit subscribe, and new shows will be sent to your computer or phone automatically. Remember, the audio portion is repeated for radio listeners on our radio stations and on the Nevada Talk Network. So check it out and listen to the shows if you're out of the immediate area. You can't get YouTube or you want to listen while you work, Saturdays at noon. Thank you very much for listening. We're going to be back next week. Mike, I think I have you scheduled to come back next week again. As I recall, I'll look on my notes. He may reappear here shortly. Thanks for supporting Fired Up. We'll see you next week.